Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a great day. And above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Today, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the topic of another great show that we're going to do, I want to welcome back to the channel Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going well, Armando. Glad to be back with you.
Glad that you're here. It was only one episode ago that you were here, right?
Go
So,
figure. I know.
yes, Ken and I are on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a live album spotlight to bring to you, and this is a good one. I've wanted to do a live album spotlight on this album for a while, and I know that Ken thinks the world of this live album, and I asked him to come with me for the ride, and he wonderfully agreed to do it. The band that we're going to be talking about today are The Who, and the album in the live album spotlight is Live at Leeds. This is considered to be by many one of the best, if not the best, live album of all time. And I'll give you the background history on it. It was originally released on May the 11th, 1970. Single disc album released through Track Records in the UK, eventually Polydor Records in Europe, and Decca Records in the US. It was recorded on Valentine's Day. Uh, 1970 at the University of Leeds, Refectory. I can't even say that word properly. The album was produced by Kit Lambert, and there was one single release from it, Summertime Blues, backed with Heaven and Hell, released in June of 1970. This album has been released many times. The original release had six tracks on it, which for me, too short for a live album. The total playing time of this single disc release is a whopping, massive 37 minutes and 43 seconds. But what we're going to be doing today, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to be focusing on the 2001 double disc reissue released through Universal Music with additional tracks that were added. Now, there is one note to pass on to you. The band did another concert in Hull the next night, February 15th, 1970. However, a couple of two or three songs into the performance, John Entwistle's bass went out. So what they did was they took the bass tracks from the Leeds performance and synchronized it with the Hall's performance in order to keep it together and keep it going. And that live at Hall was eventually released a few years ago. Uh, Now, what's interesting about the double disc reissue in 2001, the original issue of the album, the original release had six tracks, a whopping six tracks on the album. The first disc of Live at Leeds on the reissue has 13 tracks, and the second disc has the performance of Tommy. 20 tracks from Tommy. Four tracks are missing from this performance of Tommy. And I want to get Ken's opinion on this. But back to my question that I was originally going to ask you is what is your history with the Who Live at Leeds?
Live at Leeds, I didn't discover until probably 1974 or 75. My entry into the Who was Who's Next, and um, and I just because where I lived, and it's easy to forget we didn't have streaming back then. And so you either had albums or you had the radio. And and that was it. And where I grew up um, in North Florida, we only had a couple of rock stations on the radio to listen to. And this was before AOR radio,
Yeah.
So it was heavily just top 40. Um, and This is when radio stations were privately owned, and the DJs programmed their own music. So it was a completely different world back then. and But uh, I bought Live at Leeds, like I said, around 74, 75, just because I was a huge Who fan. That was one of my first loves uh, in junior high. And it's like, okay, I've got the other albums. I'll get this one too, you know.
Yeah.
And um, it was a bit of an eye opener. Obviously, I hadn't heard any of their live stuff. This was their first live album, and uh, you know, the story goes that after the success of Tommy,
Yeah.
which was a huge success, and
Yes.
they toured extensively. They toured Tommy extensively at the time, and the packaging, both it being a rock opera, high concept, and the album had very lavish packaging, with the booklet and all of that. Um, uh, at least Townsend felt like Tommy was just overshadowing everything else, at
Yeah.
least in the non-British Isles
Hmm.
parts of the country.
Yeah.
Because before then, I mean, they had already done, three albums and had a quite nice catalog of songs, but they were a song-oriented band before Tommy.
Yeah.
So they decided that, okay, well, let's release a live album from these touring, particularly Leeds, um, to show that we are something more than just Tommy.
Yeah.
That's why the live album, the original cut of Live at Leeds, only had one track, which was a short medley of Tommy songs. Um, because when they were touring at the time, they were half the concert was Tommy.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the album had a lot of mostly their other singles that they had already released
Yeah.
with some significant, in my opinion, significant cover songs
Yeah.
that would become just they would become known for.
Yeah. I mean, well, on the album, there were four songs on side one and
Hmm.
two songs on
Two
side
songs
two.
I do. Hmm.
So, yeah. And it was just it was my understanding that they recorded an entire concert with the intention of releasing it as their first live album. But Pete Townsend, for some reason, just said no. Erase all the tapes and get rid of it, and they were gonna record this show for some reason. But yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
for whatever reason. I don't get it.
yeah.
I don't understand.
And so they wanted to show off what a powerful live band they were,
Yeah,
and they went to the next level of the packaging of the album being very stripped down. In other words, they were
minimal.
trying to go for exactly the opposite of what Tommy was,
Yeah,
both in marketing and with content.
they wanted to
And
make it look like a bootleg album.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
which other artists would copy that uh, ever since. And I think it's really great because, as I've mentioned on other videos, Tommy isn't my favorite of their concept albums, partially because Daltrey's vocals are, I don't want to say they're weak, but his vocal style at the time was more poppy than rock. And
hmm
in touring Tommy, that's when Daltrey really found the power of his voice, um, which um, which is really noticeable here. And so it's almost like it's a different lead singer. And uh, and so and for a lot of years, the Who was considered the best live band at any given time.
Yeah.
And this really shows, what 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 they could do. I mean, it shows off what each member can do.
Yeah.
Um, and they didn't edit out blemishes.
No.
You can there's a lot of places in here where you can like, oh, that's the wrong note, or you know,
Or you
that
can
entrance
hear,
wasn't what it should be.
or you can
And I
hear Keith
really do
Moon.
appreciate. Yeah.
Sorry, you can hear
Oh
Keith
yeah.
Moon in the back making comments, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's one thing I like about it, because you hear some of the interaction between specifically Townsend, and the audience.
yeah,
And just the way the audience reacts, I think it was a great idea for them to record this at a college.
yeah,
And because you've got, the younger fans, and ones that grew up with the earlier Who catalog and songs.
hmm,
So they were definitely playing for fans.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you can hear this, and like you said, Townsend will be talking to the audience, and you can hear Moon in the background, heckling him and whatever. And it really does give a good feeling of intimacy.
Yeah, and you can just imagine uh Pete Townsend thinking like Keith Moon, shut up. Like, like I'm dealing with the audience. It's like, and you're like whatever. So no, I get that. I get that. Yeah.
And it's really different from a lot of these bands that don't talk to the audience at all.
No.
And at the same time, you can get exactly the opposite. You can have people like Bono with U2 that'll get up there and spout off, and you just want to shout, "Shut up and play!" You
Well,
know.
we've talked about this before. There are artists like, Bono, who will use the stage to make political statements and stuff. And, there was that infamous story where, like he was saying, they played a song and Bono said, every time you snap your fingers, a child is dying or a child is starving. And someone yells out, well, someone stop snapping your fingers then. Don't do that. And that's basically, code for saying, shut up and play. Like,
Yeah.
like we're here to watch you to play kind of thing. So I get that. I get that.
Well,
100%.
wasn't it Frank Zappa that released an album called "Shut Up and Play Your Guitar"?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
And
go.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Um, yeah. But this album was quite popular in terms of the chart success, if I
Yes.
remember correctly. So, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Please continue. Please continue.
Well, I think this album, and I think part of the success was this album, I think, appealed to listeners that weren't a fan of Tommy. So Tommy just wasn't their thing. It was too polished. It was too conceptual. They just like good old rock and roll, and that's exactly what this album was.
Yeah,
And
bare bones. Yeah,
yeah, bare bones, and just right to the source. And so I think this album was pivotal in their popularity, because it encaptured um, more listeners,
yeah,
listeners that
and
had a different taste.
yeah,
Um,
and it's got to
and
be said. Sorry, it's got to be said. This album has been reissued in different versions quite a few times. In 1995, it was reissued. Then again, the version we're talking about today is the 2001 issue. And then in 2010, they issued out a 40th anniversary, dare I say it, box set. of this album where you get the vinyl version and the CD version in the collection. And if you want to look for it now, you can pay a pretty penny for the son of a bitch right now. But yeah, so this album for me, I mean, I'll give my opinion in a sec, but
Yeah.
it's like I never really paid much attention to it growing up and really listening to it or at all until the last, say, 4 years off and on, just really getting into it. So, but yeah, and the fact that the original release only had 6 songs, which I do believe started with the track Young Man Blues, you
Yes,
know,
I think so.
so you start with a cover and you end with a cover on side one, I do believe, with songs like I Can't Explain in the middle on side one. But today we are focusing on the 2001 double disc reissue, and there are 13 tracks
Mhm.
of on this first disc. So, what is your opinion of disc one? We can talk
I
about
love this.
Tommy.
Yeah, I love this one. I love the first disc more than the second. I before I bought this, I had bought a couple of the Who compilations. One's called Meaty Beady Big and Bouncy,
Yeah, yeah.
which was basically a greatest hits of their pre-Tommy days. And they have a wonderful um, another compilation called Odds and Sods,
Odds and sods.
which are other singles and B-sides and whatever. And those two albums together really paint a fantastic picture of the Who's early days, where you'll get I Can't Explain, Fortune Teller, Substitute, Happy Jack, all those wonderful singers from early in their career. So basically, this first disc is basically a greatest hits live
Yeah,
for early Who, which I could really relate to.
yeah.
Um, Also wonderfully representative of a lot of all this we're talking about. There's an incredible documentary from 1978, I believe, called "The Kids Are All Right," um, that they put out right about the at the same time they released "Who Are You"
Hmm.
album. Um, and it's basically a documentary that they produce themselves that's mostly just lots of live clips from their entire career, um,
Yes.
including Keith Moon's final live performance with them,
Yeah,
which they didn't know at the time was his
yeah.
final.
It was going to be his final performance. Yes,
And
and
yeah,
no, sorry. Go
and
ahead.
yeah, and it's one of my favorite documentary films of all time. It shows the humor of the Who. You'll see if you really listen to these songs on disc one, there's a lot of humor in their songs.
Well, yeah. I
Um,
mean, we can go through the list quickly. I mean,
okay,
number one, it starts off with the fantastic John Entwistle track "Heaven and Hell," which has never been given a proper studio version release unless unless you get the mammoth 10 CD set of Who's Next Lifehouse. A little plug there, but yeah, I think this is a fantastic way to start
yeah,
the
and
concert.
yeah, and I think one of the reasons why the studio version hasn't been released more is because this one is just so
It's so
perfect.
powerful.
It's powerful.
It is so
Um,
powerful. Yeah,
and it's wonderful in that Entwistle didn't have the strongest voice in the world, but the way they performed this live, there were certain passages in which Daltrey would sing with him
yeah.
in unison,
On the choruses.
and
Yeah.
both harmonies, but also in unison, which gave it their voices mixed very well.
Oh
They knew
yeah.
how to blend their voices together, and gives it a real strong, a real good presence.
Yeah,
Um, the theology of the song is very questionable, but
yeah,
that's okay. But
yeah,
that's Entwistle's sense of humor,
yeah,
his dark
yeah.
sense of humor, and it's a great song for this set, and especially to start it off with.
I think it's a good way, it's a wonderful way to start off the album. And then
Yeah.
it goes into, I Can't Explain, Fortune Teller, another cover, written by Alan Toussaint,
Hmm.
um, at 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and songs like Tattoo, Young Man's Blues, which starts off the original side one of the album, the original release, Substitute, you know. What I'm noticing here is you get really good 1, 2, 3 punch in terms of songs like Substitute, Happy Jack, and I'm a Boy, all
Yeah.
at 2 minutes plus each. They
Yeah.
hit you with the hits, boom, 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 the singles, mixed along with songs like Young Man Blues. And what I like about Young Man Blues is when on the outro, when they ended, you hear Daltrey yell, "You don't get fuck all!" It's just he screams it, right? And it's like, did I just hear? Yeah, he's smart. I
Yeah.
like that. Like he
Yeah,
just,
it's a great Mose Allison cover.
yeah,
And the thing about it is where they place it in this lineup,
yeah,
because their early songs, you talk about, Substitute, Can't Explain, are all basically adolescent themed songs, coming
yeah,
of age songs.
yeah.
And so you got Young Man's Blues. Well, the way they do it, it fits right in with that theme.
That feel,
And it's a
yeah,
powerhouse interpretation of this.
yeah,
Um, and then they go right into, Substitute from 66,
yeah,
um, and Happy Jack. All these are their early singles, very short.
yeah,
Happy Jack into I'm a Boy, uh, which is the same type of song, that
yeah,
they did. And then they dive into a quick one while he's away. And
yeah. At 8 minutes and 39 seconds, they're
yeah,
Townsend's first foray into doing mini operas,
yes,
and a quick one while he's away. You know what that's about. Hello. And that just tapped into adolescents and teenagers and their awkwardness about, sexuality and just life and growing up and becoming a human being, like an
yeah,
adult, the
yeah.
angst that
Yeah.
was, I mean, but it's wonderfully done. It is
Oh,
wonderfully done.
it's incredibly done. Uh it you can hear the musical themes or motifs. It foreshadows Tommy
Yeah,
in several of these themes. Um, and plus it shows what they could do with vocal harmonies, because the way it starts off with that a cappella three-part harmony.
yeah,
It's like it's very tight. It's very tight. It's
yeah,
perfectly in tune. It's very well done. Excuse me. The version that is most normally played is when they performed it for that Rolling Stones television
yeah,
special called Rock and Roll Circus,
yeah, yeah,
which is just as good as this, but it just really shows what they can do.
yeah,
Um, and that Stones Rock and Roll Circus version is on in that documentary. The Kids Are All Right, as are some of these others.
yeah. And you can
Um,
get the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus separate
yeah,
on a DVD set.
video
So
and DVD. Yeah,
DVD, yeah, yeah,
and but then it goes into Eddie Cochran's Summertime Blues. That has been recorded and covered many times by many artists, but
yeah,
this is absolutely my favorite. And
yeah,
I just wish that they had I they've been known to really stretch it out longer. This is only
Yeah,
3 minutes and 20 seconds.
yeah,
I'd have loved a 5 minute version or if not longer,
yeah,
um, because there were songs that they were known to really just stretch out
yeah.
and jam on.
Oh, I know, I know. And
Yeah,
then comes
Summertime Blues. This is just unbelievable.
and then comes the version of "Shakin' All Over" and the Johnny Kidd track, which has also been done by the Guess Who. Uh, oh yeah,
That wonderful guitar lick. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. And just when they come to the chorus, when they all do it in unison, when they sing you know, this
Yep.
that part, it's very pronounced. It's very definite. A good version of it, I find. Then they segue into a mammoth 15-minute, 24-second version of My Generation. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where this is also where I believe yeah, I listened to it the other day. They segued into sections of Tommy, like the underture from Tommy.
See me, feel me. Hmm.
Yeah, See Me Feel Me, the underture and all that stuff. So yeah, which you knew what was to come. If you were at the show, then you knew what was going to be coming up, you know, later on in the second set. But they do a great version of that, and they end it off with a great version, 7 minutes 54 seconds of Magic Bus to end off disc one. So yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a good representation of them live. I think this is a good live greatest hits album for the
Yeah.
band at the time.
And I think Pete Townsend is often underestimated as a guitarist.
Yeah.
Listen to this recording of My Generation. You can really hear what he can do on guitar.
Hmm.
And it's just amazing. Another example, like I've said before, um, both as a music fan and a guitarist, I prefer musical melodic players to shredders.
Hmm.
Um, and this just shows Townsend's not a shredder, but oh my gosh, he is an incredibly creative guitar player, and it just really shows that. And there's other evidence of this, of his melodic playing,
Yeah.
because he and David Gilmour, um, worked together many times,
Yeah. And
on several of his solo albums, and yeah, just incredible.
yeah, and I do believe that I was reading, and I forget the name of the guitar, but it's that it was a style of guitar that he had, a certain guitar. It had a thinner body to it, that he was able to uh, play certain notes and tones by just turning a dial on the guitar
Yes.
and just sort of getting the tones that he wanted. And he loved using it for that reason,
Hmm.
just and it was easy for him to physically hold and play.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the guitar.
I don't remember if it's this concert, but at this time he was playing a Gibson SG,
That's it. Sorry, it's a Gibson
and it's
SG.
got a very specific sound to it. This
Yeah.
definitely sounds like an SG. I've
Yeah.
never owned one. I've always wanted to, mostly because of this album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that ends off, Magic Bus ends off disc one.
Yes.
Shall we dive into disc two? Shall we? We shall. Now, uh, I've always wanted to get a proper live version of Tommy done in its entirety. Unfortunately, there are very few recordings of Tommy done live in its entirety. There's one in particular I do believe that was done in its entirety when they performed live in Los Angeles in 1989 with an all-star cast featuring Patti LaBelle,
Yeah.
Billy Idol's cousin Kevin. Oh, that was a sight to see. Phil Collins as Uncle Ernie,
Uncle Ernie. Yeah.
and coming out disheveled with a bottle of gin, and also Elton John performing Pinball Wizard. That was one of the only performances that I saw of Tommy done in its entirety. This version of Tommy, there are 20 tracks on it. There are a couple of tracks missing. One of them is Underture. Another track that's missing is Cousin Kevin. But Underture was also performed in the previous disc within my generation, little snippets here and there. So you really do get the full performance of Tommy over like minus one or two tracks.
Yeah.
But when you heard this version of it, what did you think of it? Like, what was your takeaway from it?
I like it better than the original.
Okay, I
Here
got you.
again, because Daltrey's voice is incredibly powerful here. Um, I mean, he's using that newly found, you know, incredible rock sound in his voice. Um, whereas it doesn't have the incredible layers of instruments uh, from the original studio album. It certainly makes up for it in energy.
Yeah,
And hearing, and in a way, it's more impressive to hear um, Townsend because at this point, when they toured, it was still just the four of them. Later on, they would add extra musicians on stage,
yeah, yeah.
but this
Where
is just the pure quartet. So it's really interesting to hear what Townsend can pull off when he doesn't have the availability of dubbing and layering and whatever.
yeah,
This is
well,
stripped down to the bone.
yeah, like for example, on the original version of Overture, you hear the horns that come in, and in this performance, he utilizes the guitar to pick up from where the horns would come in. Like he
Sure.
uses the guitar to play that part. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
And because there's a lot of musicians that they really take advantage of the studio technology to create things that they really cannot recreate live.
Yeah,
Um, and for instance, the Beatles felt free after they stopped touring to do whatever they wanted to do in the studio without the pressure um,
yeah,
of being able to recreate it
to do it
live.
live. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, the Who has always been. Of course, they had some difficulty during Quadrophenia
yeah,
because they were using tapes and whatever,
yeah,
which is why there's not a lot of recordings of Quadrophenia live at the time of its release.
yeah,
But this really shows what they could do um, live that is not maybe exactly the same way because, like I said, they don't have extra musicians and layering.
yeah.
But holy cow, the creativity and being able to still communicate and reproduce
Musically, yeah,
live um, to such a high level is just absolutely amazing. And it gives Tommy just a whole new um, facet for me. Like I said, I prefer this version to the studio version just because of the vocals and what they can do live. They still have the little small things, the 20 seconds, do you think it's all right? And those little connecting things, but hey, it works. They were able to
yeah,
do the whole thing.
yeah. I think that this brings Tommy down to, not that it brings it down, but it brings it down to a not down in a bad way, I'm sorry, but it brings it to a more rock guttural level without the use of the French horns or the overdubbing, even the use of a gong, of the
Yeah.
smash the mirror kind of thing. I would agree. I like this version better than the studio version. I think that the way, even the way they introduce it, like, Townsend introduces this, he introduces this set as we're going to be playing you music from Thomas right now, and and enjoy kind of thing, and they just go for it. I mean,
Yeah,
they put the pedal to the metal and they just go at 60 and they don't stop.
they don't.
But, but yes, there are little, maybe slightly, there are some slight miscues, but you know what? It bloody well works.
That's right.
It works on all
Hmm.
levels. You have it is such a guttural performance, a bare bones performance of this album that to me, everything works on this.
Yeah.
And the tracks that are missing, like Cousin Kevin and the Underture, again, you really don't miss it
No.
because they go through it at such a breakneck pace, but on point.
Yeah.
There's, you know, that it works, and the audience are just like, you can just imagine them sitting in their seats, holding on to their seats, going like, oh my
Yeah.
God, because they're
Sure.
being bombarded with all this good music and done in such a clever way that
Hmm.
it works on all levels.
Yeah, they really bring not just an A game, but an A plus game, and which is amazing if you think about how many times they were playing this
Yeah,
night after night after night on the road. Um, the probably the fighting that temptation to change things up and do it different or whatever. They stuck to the script and they just plowed it through and never for an instant feel like anything is being phoned in.
yeah, yeah. And if I can also make a point, I like John Entwistle's vocals on this. Because
Yes.
I'm hearing it with the headphones,
Yep.
and there is a good separate. To me, there is a good separation of the instruments.
Yep.
The bass frequency is coming in strong.
Yes.
Entwistle's vocals are coming in very good, very strong, very, very forceful, and he can harmonize with
Oh, absolutely.
Daltrey like there's like no one's business.
Mhm.
Just beautifully done, and you're right. Daltrey's vocals are prominent and forceful and guttural and passionate all at the same time. Whereas for me, like you said before on another episode, Townsend's vocals he's there and his guitar work is exemplary. It's just like out of this world.
Yep.
But his vocals are still sort of mild mannered. Just I don't want to say meek because it's not right, but mild
Mhm.
mannered.
Yeah.
There isn't that passion that comes in later on, like in the late, like from like say Who's Next on,
Yes.
with regards to his vocal delivers. But it's an this for me is a very good documentation of Tommy live.
I think it is. And at the time, because of the problems with like you mentioned about the recording from Hull,
Yeah,
which I think was the next night,
it was
I
February
believe.
15th. Yeah,
Yeah.
February 15th in Hull.
They liked, they felt that their performance for the Hull concert was better than this, but they had the technical issues
With the
with the
bass.
Hull recording. However, since they fixed that, the big box set that you spoke about um, primarily has a, in addition to the vinyl for the CD, it basically has this package
Mhm.
and then the package of Live at Hull. So
Really?
if you don't want to splurge on a secondhand copy of the box set because it's long out of print, get this. and then get the recent release double disc of Live at Hull,
Yeah,
and you've got 95% of the box set.
which I just might do. Thank you very much, Ken. Um, he is such a bad influence on me, ladies and gentlemen. We really should do something about this. But you know what? We love doing shows together, so it ain't gonna happen. He's not going anywhere. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that if you have the two performances of Live at Leeds and Live at Hall, then you know what? You have a majority of the
Yep.
40th anniversary set. But I think you have a good snapshot of the Who at this time in their career,
Yes.
you know. And also, I will say, if you want the performance of the Who live in '89 in LA of Tommy in its entirety, also there's a DVD version of Tommy and Quadrophenia in its entirety, which I do have. Big surprise, right, ladies and gentlemen? I do have, and if you if you're a fan of the Who of this particular point in time in their career, these sets are for you. And depending where you get them, they're not very expensive.
Yeah.
They're not very expensive at all. I do believe that the Live at Leeds, when you find it, you'll get it for something like $35, depending where you go, give or take. More give than take, unfortunately. But and you know the other sets, you can get them at a reasonable price, like 24.95 on
Yeah.
Amazon and other outlets. And you know what? Check out your local record store.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, support your local record
Absolutely.
store, and support if it's an
Absolutely.
independent record store. Please support it because they need all the help from you
Yeah.
and the
If they don't
support from
have
them.
it, yeah, if
They
they
could
don't have it, they can get it.
they could probably order it,
Special order. Yeah,
depending
absolutely.
depending. So yeah,
And if you're only familiar with the Who, say from Tommy or Who's Next on, um, I recommend checking out their earlier works. Like I said, Meaty Beaty, Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy, and
odds and
Odds and
sods.
Sides. Especially Odds and Sides has been reissued with an expanded version that's fantastic. Um, it's got a lot of the songs that were written for Lifehouse or Who's Next that they didn't use, which you'll find them on the big 10-pound Lifehouse box set.
Yeah,
But still, it's got a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, those 2 and 3 minute singles from their early career, I really do love still. Um,
yeah,
it's just a lot of fun. The Who is one of those bands that's just fun for me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
even when they're being serious, it's still fun.
No, it's true. It's true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Live album spotlight featuring the Who's Live at Leeds. Please put down in the comments below your opinion of this album. Do you have this album? Do you know of this album? Have you heard this album? What is your viewpoint? Have we done a proper representation of the album, or have we missed the point completely? Have we missed the boat? Please let us know in the comments down below. And I want to thank Ken for joining me for yet another episode on the Music Den. And we have more episodes coming up. We have November album anniversaries by the time this airs, we would have been, well ensconced in at this point. So we're having fun with those episodes as well. There's a lot of albums to go through in November. A lot of bands released albums in the 60s and 70s, mostly the 70s. But we're going to be looking at that and another array of episodes coming up on the Tea Party,
Yep.
you know, and more shows beyond that. So please join us for this. And I mean, most people know that we pre-tape these episodes. They're not done live. They can't be done live. It's not possible. So please join us for those episodes coming up, and we will see you soon on Music Den. Please look after yourselves and one another, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.